Hello and welcome to What the F Does That Card Do? We're building decks for Commander. EDH hipster deck building. SEO targets hit.
Heck.
Are you proud of me, Josh?
I'm saying heck, just so I can put that over your...
You have to bleep that when you say it. It's even weirder.
No, I'm leaving it in. They can see the process that I have to go through.
Anyway, what we're trying to do is offer alternatives for your Commander deck building. When you're trying to build a deck with Commander, it's very easy to just go and buy and put staples, removal, you know, all the classics. Why not put some of these weirdo cards in instead and have your friends say, what the f does that card do? That's what this show is. That's what it does. So we are currently on an Edge of Eternities kick because it just came out in our timeline. In your timeline, which is what you're in, it came out months ago. But we recorded it just after Edge of Eternities came out, and these are our recommendations for upgrades to the decks. I think that's right, isn't it, Josh?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Great, good, yeah, cool. So I'm Chris, I use they, them pronouns, and this is Josh, who...
Uses he, him pronouns.
There you go. So, yes, we're going to talk about Edge of Eternities. It was the last episode we talked about Szarel, Genesis Shepherd, who is the commander, I think second commander, because he's supposed to, the spaceships are supposed to be the face commanders of the precon, isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So Szarel's the backup face commander of World Shaper. And now, today, we're going to talk about Kilo Apogee Mind, who is the backup commander of the counterintelligence precon.
Yes.
Now, I have a Kilo deck, so I'm going to have a lot to say about this. Most notably, that the precon itself is mid, but the commander is amaze. So, yes, definite positive to say about this card. What Kilo says, you know, I should have Kilo up.
That would be helpful.
Yeah,
While you're loading Kilo up, I will say that usually when we do these, I normally go for the cards that are highly rated on EDH Rec, the ones that have 50% synergy and are in over 50% of the decks. This time round, and the same with the last one, I didn't do many that were quite high up on the ratings, but for this one, none of them are high ratings. 2 of them are actually on EDH Rec, the other 3 are not.
One of mine is on EDH Rec, and 2 that I have to talk about, but we'll get to that later. Anyway, Kilo, Apogee Mind, casts for a Jeskai, which is 1 blue, red, white, no other colours, just blue, red, white, 3 mana. Legendary artifact creature, Robot Artificer, has haste. Whenever Kilo becomes tapped, proliferate. That's it. All it says.
3/3, right?
3/3. In the world of Magic cards with way too much text on them, this is 2 lines of text, and it's awesome. It's so good. Let's talk about why it's good. Holy hell, it's good. When this got spoiled, I was just num. It's great. Jeskai is good artifact colors. Easy starting point.
Yes.
Good artifact decks in blue, good artifact decks in blue-red, blue-white. I already had a blue-white artifacts deck. I cannibalized the fuck out of that to make this deck because this is just so good. It has haste, number 1. Automatically, and a 3/3 for 3 that has haste means you can ping someone on turn 3 for 3, because by chances are they haven't got anything out by that point. That's just good. Whenever Kilo becomes tapped, proliferate is an insane line of text, because you can tap a creature a million different ways. The obvious way is to attack with it, which taps it.
Yeah.
Whenever Kilo becomes tapped, everything that has a counter on it gets 1 more of that counter on it. That's what proliferate means. And that can be any number of permanents. Literally any.
And not just on your side of the board, you could proliferate things that are either on your opponent, like poison counters, or on your opponent's side of the board. Most notably, you're going to want to do things that sort of detriment what's on your opponent's board, but we'll get into some of those cards in a little bit.
Point is, with this line of text, you've opened up a fucking multiverse of options of what to do with this commander, and you can do it the turn it comes down, which is just it's fantastic. The moment it got spoiled, people were saying, is this CEDH playable? No's the answer, but for boring reasons. It's easily one of the coolest things they've done in a very long time, and I really appreciate how simple it is as well. Josh,
yes,
give us a weirdo to start us off, because I'm going to have to dive into some of the sort of stuff that we need to talk about with this commander relatively early on. But give us a weirdo to kick the ball rolling.
Well, it's not quite a weirdo. It is on EDH Rec, but it's not very high on the percentages. But this is for more of a aggro style version of the deck.
Oh god, it's poison. He's starting us with poison.
It's
oh
not
my god.
It's not poison, no. But one thing I would like to say is throughout this series run and other things that you may have seen myself in and Chris in as well, my pronunciation of things is terrible. So I apologise for now.
It's individual. Also, these don't come with... Nowhere is there like a pronunciation guide for these characters. People just... You have to find out what everyone else is saying, just copy them.
Exactly. This one is Anim Pakil Thousandth Moon. Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah, no notes. Yeah.
This is a white, blue, and 1/1/2 legendary creature human soldier that reads: whenever you attack with one or more non-gnome creatures, put a 1/1 counter on this creature, then create X 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature tokens that are tapped and attacking, where X is the number of 1/1 counters on that card, on this card. Which is good because it doesn't require this to attack. As long as it's a non-gnome creature that attacks, you get the +1/+1 counter. As soon as you get that +1/+1 counter on this creature, Kilo can proliferate it. Because the second part of the effect, where it says it creates more gnomes equal to the number of +1/+1 counters on it, it doesn't care where those +1/+1s come from. So it doesn't have to have been from the attack. So Kilo just keeps +1 in, +1 in, +1 in, and leading into some infinite combo stuff that Chris might be talking about in a little bit. The gnome tokens are artifacts.
Right, let's talk infinite. I wouldn't necessarily recommend building the deck this way. I will elaborate. In Magic, it is very possible, because of the words on cards, that combination of 2 or 3 cards goes what's called infinite. In other words, you can keep doing the effect over and over again because one effect does another effect, and that effect means you can do this effect again, and so on. Go on forever. Now, infinites, generally speaking, not a massive fan. In the same way that I don't love the line of text on a card, if X, you win the game, or if X, your opponents lose the game. Primarily because what they tends to happen is someone goes, I'll play this card, I'll play that card, cool, guys, I win. Unless you can interact with me now, I win the game. And as a fellow player, you go, uh-oh. Okay. Should we shuffle up and play again? There's a kind of, what was the point of that kind of feeling to it? Because everything that came before it was irrelevant. Everything, all the rest of the game was pointless. All you were building up to was this person played 2 cards and went, so I win? It feels like the sort of win where, like, I'm not a sports person, but imagine if in the, 89th minute of a football game, someone got to kick the special golden ball, and if they score a goal with it at that point, they just win, regardless of what the points is. There's an element of that to infinite combos, and I don't love that. However, Kilo really works towards infinite combos that don't do that. Like, there are cards, such as Magistrate's Scepter, that if you proliferate infinite number of times, you have infinite number of turns, you win automatically. There are cards that give everything poison, something to Phyrexia. I don't fucking know. Give everyone a poison counter. Tap it, tap and tap Kilo 10 times. Everyone's got 10 poison, everyone dies. You could do that. I think that is boring. What you can do is make Kilo tap and untap and give things 1/1 counters. So, for example, Freed from the Real and Aura of Dominion both basically say the same thing in different ways. For a cost of 1 mana, tap and untap a target creature, effectively. There are mana rocks that let you add or subtract a 1/1 counter or a charge counter from it that will effectively let you proliferate. Whenever you proliferate, you get 1 mana. 2 are in the deck. Pentad Prism. There's another one I've forgotten the name of. There's a little Hedron style crab thing that does the same thing. If you have that aura and one of those mana rocks out as a 3-card combo, you will proliferate. You can proliferate as many times as you want, because the mana that it costs to tap Kilo you get back from the proliferating, thus you can keep doing it. Using that plus a creature, any creature with a 1/1 counter on it, and you can go, cool, I proliferate this thing 1,000 times and I pass the turn. Because then everyone else is going to, there's a 1,000 creature on the board. If we don't do something, it's going to start hitting us. That's fun. That's fun and silly and great. I use the Eternity Elevator in my Kilo deck, which is a spacecraft from Edge of Eternities. And that's one that says when it gets 20 charge counters on it, tap it and you get that much mana, as many mana as it has charge counters on it. So if you proliferate the charge counter, cool, I do it 1,000 times. I have 1,000 mana. Like, it's the kind of mad scientist nonsense where a player goes, cool, can you win? And you go, no, I'm doing all these things, making an incredible board state, which means that I'm going to win next turn. Please, interact with it now. Now is your chance to hit me. Now is your chance to remove the really big thing. Now is your time. Infinites that create insane board states, then everyone's got a chance to go and try and sort out. That's a game. That's a fun thing. That's like someone going, okay, I'm taking the analogy for that's the football thing where it's like there's a golden ball that if you score within the last minute, you get 1,000 points. But if the other player tackles you and takes it off you, they can also score. Suddenly, it's become more complicated. It's become more of a conversation. Like, that's a cool infinite in my book. Doesn't mean it's the right way to do it. It's just what I prefer. And this deck suits that beautifully. Ignore poison. Ignore infinite turns. This is child's play. This is I win the game and I haven't done nothing. Do something stupid. Make a 1/1 creature and 1,000 and go, this is the biggest creature in the world. Stop me. Stop me.
I dare you.
I dare you to stop me, yeah. But yeah, these cards are very high on the EDH records. You'll see them everywhere. Kilo works extremely well to make infinite combos. Please, please, please don't just use infinite combos to go, I play these 2 cards, I win. Use infinite combos to go, I play these 2 cards, and now the fun begins. What's your next one, Judgy? What you got?
I have 2 cards. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to do 2 because they both have similar effects. But
is it poison? Did I ruin it?
No, it's not poison. It's something else. Something else that you do like.
Oh. Planeswalkers.
not Planeswalkers, no. Planeswalkers would work well with Kilo, though.
They do, you protect the counters.
In fact, I didn't put any in the deck, in this list. Anyway, this one, most of what I'm about to go through, most of the cards that I now have on the list are Universes Beyond. I will pre-warn people who don't like Universes Beyond now that the rest of mine are that. Get
with the program. The world has moved on, and so should you.
This one is Lulu, Stern Guardian.
Yes. She
is a blue and 2 legendary creature, human wizard 2/3. Her ability is whenever an opponent attacks you, choose target creature attacking you, put a stun counter on that creature, and then for blue and 3 you can proliferate. You don't tap Lulu. You don't tap Lulu as long as you've got the mana to do it. You can proliferate with Lulu for the amount of mana that you have. And then,
but that's not the game, Josh. The game is the stun counter, because you can proliferate the stun counter.
Proliferate the stun counter, which leads into my second creature, which is a very mean card to play in this type of deck. And it's from Lord of the Rings. It's called Monstrosity of the Lake. It is a blue and 4 legendary creature Kraken 4/6. When Monstrosity of the Lake enters, you may pay 5 additional mana, so 9 mana in total. If you do, tap all creatures your opponents control, then put a stun counter on each of those creatures. It also has land cycling for 2, so you pay 2, discard it, you can go find an island and put it onto the battlefield. Or put it into your hand, sorry. But the reason why I put both of those together is they both do stun counters. Lulu also adds more proliferate options to your deck, just in case you haven't got an alternative way to tap Kilo other than attacking. Lulu also adds defense to your deck. As soon as you start putting stun counters on things and then start proliferating those stun counters, those creatures won't untap unless your opponent has an ability on the board that says at the beginning of each that untaps them outside of the untap step. They're not going to untap them.
No one plays those. They don't exist. It's not a thing. Unless you're playing against an untapper deck. I've got a couple, but they're very specific. And I can guarantee I'm not wasting my untaps on untapping all the things that you tap down with stun counters. The timing is this. If you give everything a stun counter, it won't untap on the next turn, but all the counters go away.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is play an effect that gives everything a stun counter, and then proliferate with Kilo once. Because then there's 2. Once there's 2, every time you proliferate with Kilo, you're adding more stun counters. They will never untap again. I've got Lost in the Maze on my list, which is X blue enchantment. It has Flash. When it enters, tap X target creatures, put a stun counter on each of the creatures that you don't control. So it's not quite as universal as the Monster of the... What was it, Monster of the Lake?
Monstrosity of the Lake.
Thank you. Because that hits everything. And that's obviously a wise effect. However, this has Flash. You can play it... you can literally play it before someone untaps. If you have a way to play it for someone untaps and tap Kilo, which is quite easy to do, we'll get to that in a second, you can literally say, it's my turn. Before you untap, Lost in the Maze, those 4 things have stun counters, and I'll tap Kilo to do something, and then I've got 2 stun counters on them, so they won't untap next turn either, is brutal. Also, it has a second line of text, tapped creatures you control have hexproof. Of course, you're going to untap Kilo, so it's not perfect, but it's a great way to just leave Kilo tapped, and then people can't do anything to them.
Yeah, and it gives them a small window for them to be able to do something to Kilo, because you untap on your untap step, so yeah.
Yeah. The fact that it has Flash, and the fact that it also gives things hexproof makes this the bomb. I wish it tapped more things. X blue is expensive, it's almost got a huge board state, but frankly, tapping down someone's commander they have to attack with... Game over, man. There's nothing they can do.
Yeah, it's very mean.
It's real mean. I jumped on your point, though. Have you got another one? Or do you want me to dive in the next one?
I have got another one. So those were 2 that were done together. Now we get into the stuff that is really weird. For me, anyway. Now, if you've got Kilo on the board and Kilo goes to the graveyard, Kilo is 100% one of those types of commanders. You're like, kill it, especially if you've got other things on the board that you can proliferate.
Absolutely.
So Kilo can become very expensive to get out very quickly. But what if there was a way for you to put Kilo into the graveyard and get Kilo back out without having to pay for it? Enter Final Fantasy VI's greatest general, Leo Christoph. Here's my reasoning. Well, I'll tell you what he does first.
Sword and white.
He's white and 4 for a 2/2 legendary creature human soldier. His ability is when General Leo Christoph enters, return up to 1 target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then put a number of 1/1 counters on General Leo Christoph for each creature you control. So he's guaranteed to have 2 1/1 counters at least on him. And then if Kilo is the target that you choose, or any of the other 3 or lower cost creatures that you have in the graveyard, there's one in the precon, which is the one that's it's a 3-drop white creature artifact that says whenever your opponent commits a crime, proliferate. You could get that out because that'll be another target to kill. As soon as he's got those 1/1 counters on him, you proliferate those, he becomes big very quickly, and he becomes a threat very quickly.
Yes. That's a very expensive effect to do.
Yeah.
I will say that, yes, Kilo has the very much kill-on-sight vibe to it. It really does. But also only costs Jeskai, only costs red, white, and blue, and it has haste. So unless they're sitting on removal, they can remove it, and you can cast it next turn for 5 mana, which is not a lot, especially when you've got lots of mana rocks that will proliferate into having more counters. So there are some mana rocks that proliferate, like I said, where you can take a counter off to add more mana, so you can just keep cycling it. Or there's some where you put counters on them, and then they just tap for that huge amount of mana. There's some in the precon as well. I think Astral Cornucopia is in there, which is a famous one for that. So yeah, like there's many ways to skin that cat, but mana will not be a problem. Because it's got haste, doesn't matter. The moment that you cast it, you can start doing it all over again. It makes no difference at all. It's horrible for trying to get rid of because recurring it is so easy. Now, what Josh was saying about making sure Kilo sticks around, very important. The ability to tap Kilo and untap Kilo is obviously very important. I mentioned those, like, there's some auras that let you untap things. Tapping it down is quite important too. And luckily, you come in a precon that is already vibing in this direction with Spacecraft. Spacecraft says tap a creature, add number of counters equal to its power to Spacecraft. And those counters then make the Spacecraft do things. There's plenty of cool Spacecraft from the set. I'm not going to go into them because The other thing that it works well with is vehicles, and vehicles are cool. Vehicles are basically artifacts that they have a ability called crew, usually with a number. Tap any number of creatures you control with total power that number. This creature becomes an artifact creature till end of turn. Most notably, what it doesn't say is only do this once per turn. I think there's one vehicle that does that called, it's a train from OTJ, I can't remember. It limits how many times you can do it.
Something like a motive or something, yeah.
But vehicles are fantastic because it just means you can tap Kilo. If you then find a way to untap Kilo, you can tap Kilo again to crew the vehicle again. You can keep doing it. It means you can keep tapping Kilo without having something on the board that means Kilo has to attack or do something else. So that's very useful. And the best one by far is Smuggler's Copter because it only costs 2. In other words, play Smuggler's Copter on 2, play Kilo on 3, you're sorted. I can tell you what it does. It's a very popular card. It's on EDH Rec. It's a flying 3/3 that whenever it attacks or blocks, you may draw a card if you discard a card. It doesn't matter. You're probably not going to do much with it. It's just there to help you tap Kilo down without causing any problems. Which, to be fair, so was the Lost in the Thingy, because it taps to add down stun counters on creatures that you don't control. Creatures that you do, it just taps them. You can do it on your own command if you need to, too.
Exactly.
Speaking of tapping and untapping, I'm going to go for one of my weirdos.
Go for it.
So, Eventide was a set.
I thought that was the name of the card then. I was like, what?
No, Eventide was same sort of time as Shadowmoor and Lorwyn, and there's some weird fucking creatures in there. Crackle Burr. One and a blue and a red, or a blue and a red. So 1 blue, red, but it's only 3 mana. It's an elemental creature. It's a fox with lightning in it. I don't know. Weird art. You'll see. It has 2 abilities. Blue and a red. So 2 mana, 1 of each, or 1 of it, whatever you've got.
Is it the hybrid mana symbol?
Yeah, the hybrid mana symbols. Tap, Cracklebur. Tap 2 untapped red creatures you control. This creature deals 3 damage to any target. And blue or a red, and untap this creature. Untap 2 tapped blue creatures you control. Return target creature to its owner's hand. So, if you have 2 of the rocks on the board that let you take counters off to do this, you can do it. Well, it'd take 4 to do it every single time, so you need a lot of this. But generally speaking, you've got enough mana floating around. You can just use this to do damage to people and bounce things repeatedly with the same creature. It needs to tap, and 2 other things need to tap. So this Kilo and something else need to tap and untap repeatedly to do this. 4 mana, so it is expensive. But you get all of Kilo's effects. Everything you want to do is happening. And you're also, because Kilo is red and blue, you're dealing 3 damage to any target, so you can start pinging off the board, or you're returning target creatures to its own hands, so you're bouncing things back into people's hands as well. This is like a little mini board sort out. Not quite a wipe, but certainly I'll damage that one, and you can put that one back in your hand, and I'll do 3 damage to your face, because why not? It's
very
really
control
really,
effect.
Yeah, it's great. And it's a 2/2, and it costs 93p.
I think you've had that on the board when you've played Kilo. You didn't quite get to do the effect, but you've had it on the board.
No, I didn't get to do the effect, which is a shame, because it is cool, but no, didn't get to do it.
So my next card, we're going to travel back to Final Fantasy VI. And to my favourite Moogle warrior, Mog. Moogle warrior.
Mog.
Moogle warrior is a white and red and 1 legendary creature Moogle warrior 1/2. He has lifelink. And he has the dance ability. At the beginning of your end step, each player may discard a card. Each player who discarded a card this way draws a card. If a creature card was discarded this way, you create a 1/2 white Moogle creature token with lifelink. Then, the full stop then part is important. Then, if a non-creature card was discarded this way, put a +1/+1 counter on each Moogle you control.
Right.
Which is very, very good, because you can set yourself up, because you don't know what your opponents are going to discard. You don't even know if they're going to do it. So you can set yourself up by discarding a creature that you don't need and drawing a card. So you're filtering through your hand, getting the cards that you want, possibly. you discard a creature to get a Moogle onto the board, and then on the next turn you could choose to discard a non-creature. You do that, you then put +1/+1 counters on all Moogles you control. If it happens that your opponent does a creature and you do a non-creature in the same turn, you'll create the Moogle, and then 1/1 counters go on all Moogles you control. As soon as those counters go on, they can then be proliferated, and you can make big Moogles that can stomp and dance on people's faces, which is why I thought this was a good card to potentially have in the deck.
It's end step, isn't it?
It's end step, yeah.
Because that's really important. Because if you're effectively, because you can use Kilo's trickery usually out of turn. Mm-hmm. You can, for example, tapping to crew a vehicle, you can do whenever you want. You can do it to make defenders, not a problem. So if you have a way of tapping and untapping Kilo repeatedly, maybe not to like an unlimited crazy effect, but like 10 times, 6 times. If you discard a creature card and your opponents discard non-creature cards, they don't have to do anything. They can choose not to.
Yeah.
But let's assume that there's a couple. The way it's worked out is there's a Moogle on the field. Maybe there's 2, but there's definitely a Moogle on the field, and it has a counter on it.
Yeah.
It's got lifelink, and it's a 1/2. If you can make it a 5/6 with lifelink, if someone attacks you, because lifelink works on defense, if someone attacks you, you will heal for the amount of damage they do to the amount of damage that Mog does, the Moogle does. Sorry. So you will be able to sit there and just go, cool, attacking you now. I've got a 1/2. Oh, before you go to combat, I'm just gonna. Now it's a 10/11. Still attacking me? Because even if they don't, you can attack with the Moogle next turn anyway. It doesn't matter. But it's just a really great way of like. It's the thing we were saying in the last recording with Szarel. Like the ability to when an opponent's going, who should I attack? You going, oh, just before you do, I'm a terrible target. Don't attack me.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing with Mog as well is that he's currently 52 cents.
Yeah.
He's cheap and cheerful, and that's a really good effect. I think personally, I'd love to have him as in a commander deck, or if I was to make a Kilo deck, I do have the precon, but my plan was to put Kilo into the deck and have a different commander. I would have Mog in there because I just think that's really good synergy.
I just got a Mog for a different deck. Yeah. I think the only thing that bothers me at the beginning of your end step, each player may discard a card. Why would people do that?
Or they might want to get rid of something out of their hand that might be like a dead card, and then get a chance to draw a card.
Oh, because they draw a card as well. Sorry, each player discard a card. Yes, you're giving everyone a chance to draw a card, which people will want to do. Yeah, I see that. Yes, so from Moogles to something a bit more magic-y.
You cannot sit there and say that Moogles are not magical.
No, as in Magic the Gathering-y. Like Moogles
they're in Magic the Gathering, so they are Magic the Gathering-y. Stop your universes beyond hate.
I am the least likely to give you universes beyond hate. You know that. Modular. Modular is an ability that came around, I want to say, in Mirrodin, Darksteel, that sort of thing. Modular is an ability that means when it enters with 1/1 counter on it. Or 2 1/1 counters or whatever. It's perfect in this deck. There is a 2 mana cost modular creature called Arcbound Stinger, which is like a 25p card. It's a flying modular 1/0/0 artifact creature. So it just literally, it's a 1/1 because it has a 1/1 counter on it. That's all it is. However, it comes down on turn 2. Kilo comes down on turn 3. In fact, if you have a way to tap and untap Kilo, there's your 1,000. There's your 1,000 tiny little thing on a stick. Anything with modular on it is worth looking at because it automatically comes on with counters. Anything that comes on with counters on automatically is a very good hit for this deck because you can immediately start proliferating without having to try and find a way to put a counter on it, which can be quite tricky sometimes in decks that don't like. I think you're going to talk about the Final Fantasy X precon at some point, I think, or cards from it anyway.
Yes.
But that is also a deck where the commander says proliferate, or it says move counters, or whatever. And unless you've got ways in the deck to add counters, sometimes you're there going, well, I can proliferate all of these no counters.
This is my one problem. This is a conversation that Chris and I have had. This is the one problem that I have with having a proliferate card in the command zone. I would much prefer have the card that can generate the counters in the command zones. For example, my Final Fantasy X deck, which is not really Final Fantasy X anymore because the amount of changes I've made to it, instead of having Tidus or Tidus, however you want to say it, as the commander, I put Yuna as the commander because Yuna generates 1/1 counters by being a mana dork. So, and then I've got other cards in there now that proliferate those. So I can still do something with the commander. And then if I get the proliferate cards, then that's the thing that I'm doing with my Kilo, is my Kilo is going into a deck that generates counters rather than it being the commander. But that's just my personal preference on that. It's not the right way to do it or the wrong way to do it. It's just how I personally feel about it.
I mean, I genuinely think that this is a good example of that. If you want to make a 1/1 counters deck, okay? You want to make a deck where there's lots of 1/1 counters in it and you're proliferating and making things big and whatever. This is the wrong color combo for that. Green is so much better than a lot of other colors at doing this effect. If you want to make a deck that cares about proliferating poison counters, green and black do that a lot better.
Yeah.
Like, the point of 1/1 counters decks is to proliferate as many counters as you can, make everything huge and hit people with them. Normally a lot of creatures with a lot of, or with like 3 counters on them. Like, that's the trick usually. Or like 2 creatures with 50. If you want that deck, there's hundreds of good ways to make that deck, and there's hundreds of good 1/1 counters decks out there. I don't think Kilo's an amazing 1/1 counters commander, because you can proliferate with Kilo, and that's great. But because you can proliferate on such an easy trigger of a tapping and untapping, like, we've not talked about this at all, but there's commanders like Hilda, the Ice Queen, that's basically a ripoff of Elsa, where hers is an entire deck of tap and untap target creature. It's all about tapping and untapping.
Yeah.
You could easily apply a lot of those effects and cards from that deck into a Kilo deck, but it'd have nothing to proliferate. And you could easily take a lot of 1/1 counters cards and put them in a Kilo deck, and it would proliferate those, but is that the point of the deck? Like, I think that's part of the problem I have with the precon, if I'm honest, is this idea of like, oh, you can proliferate a lot. What am I proliferating? Charge counters on a thing that makes 9/9 tokens that don't have haste.
Yeah.
Hooray, I guess? Like, what is the point of this? Why are we doing this? And there has to be some really good idea in your mind, certainly, about what you are trying to do. Like, I purposefully built mine around the idea of, cool, I want to tap and untap as much as possible and have a couple of things that mean that the counters are funny.
Yeah.
I want to have, what happens now? I've got 1 billion charge counters on this artifact. That's what I'm doing. And how will you win with that? We'll work it out. But that's the fun of it. If you want to make like a cool 1/1 counters deck, you've got to have green in there. Like, you may as well at least steer more towards green, white, blue band, because they tend to be much better at it. Or even Abzan. I've got a green, white, and black 1/1 counters deck, which is a Gave deck, which is all about 1/1 counters and making tokens, because it just spreads them all out. Yeah. That's my general feeling. Like, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to have is proliferating the command zone a good or bad thing, or is putting the counters on in the command zone a good or bad thing. I don't know.
It's down to personal preference.
I think it's down to what you want to do. Like, if you want to put lots of counters on things, your commander should put counters on things. If you want to proliferate counters to do something clever with that, your commander should do that.
Yeah.
And they are different things. Speaking of which, this is... this could be your commander. I'd put it in this deck, but you know. This character's called Tornos, and he's had many cards that do many different things. This card is called Tornos Urza's Apprentice for a blue and a red. He's a legendary human artificer. He has haste. Blue and a red and tap. Copy target activated or triggered ability you control from an artifact source. You may choose new targets for the copy.
Oh, so you could proliferate twice.
Mana abilities can't be targeted, which is a shame. But what it means is that you can immediately do Kilo twice.
Yeah.
For 2 mana. That's a pretty weak version of the effect. I wouldn't do it for that. But for example, if you have an ability that says untap target artifact, for tap this to untap target artifact, this lets you untap 2 artifacts. Chances are you can then make the cycle go further again, you see. So it's part of the cycle of tappers and untappers to keep that proliferate effect going as much as possible, because as long as you've got mana rocks, that you tap to add mana to them, either by adding counters or by adding things that get taken off.
Yeah.
You are just creating this sense of what are you doing on your turn? Well, I'm going to do this to do that, to do this to do that, to this to do that, and I've proliferated 10 times, I think. Like it's that's the sort of vibe I'm looking for with this. But yes, it's incredibly versatile, and much like Kilo itself, has haste. So immediately you're in a position where you can play it and use it on that very same turn to start having this crazy cycle effect happen and go off. Yes, it's my recommendation, and it's 30p.
Wow.
Well, Tornus is a legacy character that's been around for yonks. This is one of the oldest ones of Tornus, because Tornus normally like makes bird artifacts or like does something else like that. But this is just I'm here to help Urza.
Tornus Toymaker is one that I've looked at quite a few times.
That's right. It's blue-green, I think. Yeah.
He's quite good. My next card, we've shifted from Final Fantasy 6 to Final Fantasy 10.
Good. Right. Thought so. Yes.
Chris mentioned that I was going to speak about the Final Fantasy 10 precon, and I am. This one is Owaka, or Oaka, however you want to say it, Traveling Merchant. He is a blue and 1, so he's quite cheap. Legendary creature, human citizen, 1/2, and his ability is to tap him, remove a counter from a non-land permanent you control, draw a card.
Boom.
You that 1,000 artifact creature that you've got on the board that's going to smash everybody next turn. I think you can lose 1 counter to allow you to draw a card. And if you've got all of these other untap effects going around the board as well, and they're not specifically targeting artifacts and can untap anything, you could untap him and do it again.
Thing is, card draw is always good. Mm-hmm. We've said this in previous videos, and we said it previously about other things. And you shouldn't discount how good card draw is. These colors are not amazing at card draw. Blue is, but normally just pay X mana, get X cards. You should put those in your deck. Because, it's good. The ability to use counters to draw cards, because you're going to have so many of them, is obviously an excellent side to this. So Arca's fantastic for that. And I don't have anything on my list that does that. So, particularly good. Yeah.
What's your next card?
I have... Okay, I'm going to go for the useful one and then go for the really dumb one last.
Fair enough.
So, Dismantle. 2 and a red. Again, it's from Darksteel. It's a sorcery. Destroy target artifact. If that artifact had counters on it, put that many 1/1 counters or charge counters on an artifact you control.
That's a very good card, yeah.
It's a very good card.
Very good card.
Now, number 1, destroy target artifact is generally a useful effect to have lying around because people tend to have artifacts that do things. So having that in your deck, good piece, nice little piece of removal, good bit of kit, solid. You can use it to destroy your own stuff. If you find a way to proliferate 20 charge counters onto your Eternity Elevator, which I have done, and it's great, tap it for 20 mana, and then blow it up. Boom! Because those 20 1/1 counters can then, or the 20 charge counters become 1/1 counters, and can all go on Kilo, and suddenly Kilo is commander damaging for lethal.
Yeah. Just need
also,
trample.
You'd have to work it out in a way that people didn't have any defenders at that point, which, depending on the card, you could probably do that. Just drop something. Yes. The cool thing about this is it turns counters into 1/1s or charge counters. So you could also use it, for example, to put 1,000 counters on a creature, then pop all those onto a spaceship to activate the spaceship. You could use that to bounce things around depending on what you're doing. So its versatility is amazing as removal for your own deck and as the ability to just move those counters around, because moving counters can be tricky. There's cards that say move a counter. There's cards that say tap to move a counter and things like that. But it's very hard to move 20 counters. So in a deck where you're trying to put as many counters as possible, the ability to move a lot of them very quickly is quite important. You will destroy things on the way, but frankly, sometimes things want to die too. You could, for example, it's sorcery speed, so you can't do it at instant speed, but there's no reason you couldn't, for example, put all the counters onto a creature, destroying an artifact, so you've got a blocker for a turn cycle, and then find a way to recast this to move them again.
Yeah.
There's plenty of cast cards from your graveyard spells. There's ways to do it.
That sounds like a good card.
Yes.
Very good card. Very, very versatile.
Yes. What is your last one? Is it your last one?
This is not my last one. I have one more after this one, but
right. Okay.
This one is another Planeswalker.
Yay! Planeswalkers.
We like Planeswalkers. This one is a very famous D&D character. It's not Jace. It is Teferi, who slows the sunset.
That's on the EDH rec page, yes.
Yeah, he is a blue, white, and 2 legendary Planeswalker, Teferi. He has 4 loyalty. His +1 is choose up to 1 target artifact, up to 1 target creature, and up to 1 target land. Untap the chosen permanents you control. Tap the chosen permanents you don't control. You gain 2 life. Another way to untap Kilo.
Perfect.
Very good.
Yeah.
And because Kilo is both an artifact and a creature, you don't have to choose to target him with the artifact side of things. You can choose to target him with the creature side of things. So you could untap a mana rock and then untap Kilo if you wanted to. The next one is mine.
It's so versatile.
Yeah, his -2. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Yeah, it's okay. If you want to have a little fish through, yeah, it's okay. I would prefer to use the +1.
Card draw. Keep saying it. Card draw is good.
Yeah. It's filtered card draw as well. Although, if you get 3 banging good cards in your hand and you have to pick one and the other 2 have to go to the bottom, then it's a sad day. The last one is where things get a little bit spicy. -7. You get and remember that you can proliferate loyalty counters on Planeswalkers. You get an emblem with untap all permanents you control during each opponent's untap step, and you draw a card during each opponent's draw step. Fantastic. Probably one of the only ultimates I would actually work towards getting on a Planeswalker in this particular deck. Because I think, you can untap... If you're running a vehicles deck specifically, then you can just untap all the creatures at the beginning of the untap step, tap them to be able to defend yourself. Not the vehicles, but the creatures that you use to crew them. Then you've got those creatures.
Yes.
Again, works well with the space stations as well, because during each opponent's end step, you could just tap all your creatures to crew the stations, or put the charge counters on the stations, and then untap them again.
Stations. Yes. Yeah, exactly. That's true. I mean, Planeswalkers are great because it's just a proliferation target. It's just a really good thing to put into the deck. I have a Teferi Timeless Voyager in mine, which is a 6-mana Planeswalker whose +1 is draw a card. It's really just that simple. It's a free card draw every turn when it's down, and its -8 is it's also got -3 is put target creature on top of its opponent's library. Its opponent's library, which is real bad because it bounces it and it ruins their card draw, which is it's cruel. It's very cruel. I don't like using that word. What I like using is, this is here to draw cards, and also if I manage to ult it, each creature target opponent controls phases out.
Yeah, so they just disappear, leaving them open.
Have no blockers.
Yeah.
Not only do they have no blockers, they have no interaction points. Nothing, no creatures they control exist. So any abilities that attach to creatures for that turn, gone. Yeah. It's a lovely little card to just throw. It's quite expensive. I've got a foil version, but it's a lovely one to have in there. And frankly, any Planeswalker in this is good because you're going to proliferate, if it's going well, 4 to 5, 6 times a turn. That's the goal here, is to proliferate a lot of times every turn. And Planeswalkers mean you'll hit every ult if you want to. Quite a lot of Planeswalkers have some pretty funky, pluses, minuses, little things you can just use. Because you're proliferating, you don't have to worry about how much it pluses or negatives or whatever, because chances are you can use whichever one you want at any given point. And you can only use them on your turn, but they're really, really useful. The more Planeswalkers you can add into the deck, the better, frankly, I think, from my perspective.
Okay.
My last one is a dum-dum. It's a proper dum-dum, and I love it. It is from Homelands, which is a very old set. It's Kaya Folio art, which is just... It's called Trade Caravan for 1 white mana. It's a creature human nomad, even though it's called Trade Caravan. Let's not question it. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a currency counter on this creature.
Yeah.
Remove 2 currency counters from this creature. Untap target basic land. Activate only during an opponent's upkeep.
Hey, you think my lands are tapped? I'm going to remove... Does it tap that card to do it, or is it just remove the counters? I've got 4 of these counters on. I'm going to remove 2 of them to untap these 2 lands. These 2 blue lands. What could I possibly have in my hand?
Okay, Josh is talking about counter spells, and fuck that. That's not why I'm doing this. That's not what it's for. What it's for is that a lot of Kilo's abilities and the ability to tap and untap Kilo, you'll need a mana or 2 to get the ball rolling. This just means you'll always have a mana or 2 to get the ball rolling. That's all it does. If you've tapped your mana rock or the one that gets the counters on it to make the thing work only has 1 counter left on it, so you don't want to use it. If you do, you can't proliferate that counter. You know, if you're hitting the point where you're like, I'm running out of gas here. If you've put 7 currency counters on your trade caravan, or doesn't matter, 2, ideally more, because you want to make sure you keep 1 on there. Actually, that's a general point about Kilo. Always keep 1 counter on everything. Because if you remove the counter, you can't proliferate something that isn't there. So it's always worth making sure you have 1 counter on everything that you can then proliferate loads of times and then use up down to 1. Don't use the last counter. But if Trade Caravan's got at least 2 counters on it, 3 ideally, then at the beginning of the target player's upkeep, you want to tap a basic land by taking 2 counters off it, and then during their upkeep you go, oh, excuse me, tap, and you start the whole process off again. Everyone's going, is it my turn yet? Can I go now? Is that a thing I'm allowed to do? And you go, sure. And then at the start of your turn, 2 currency counters off, tap. It goes all over again. And it costs 15p. Wow. And the art is... There's 2 different arts. Homelands did a weird thing where they had 2 different arts for the same card. They haven't really done it since. And they're both phenomenal. Kaya Folio is famous artist Phil Folio's daughter, and they both they make some wacky shit. Their card art is always wacky and weird and wonderful, and both trade caravans are spectacular.
Amazing.
Yeah.
My final card...
What is your last one?
Is a Universes Beyond card. At the time of recording this Universes Beyond is not out yet. It's not due out until November, because it is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Woo!
This card, Chris and I have spoken about this card, and Chris thinks this card is rather expensive normally. But in this particular deck, it's actually very good, because you don't have to put as much mana into it. It is an enchantment, and it is called Fated Firepower. It costs 3 red and X. It has flash. This enchantment enters with X fire counters on it. If a source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent and opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus an amount of damage equal to the number of fire counters on this enchantment instead. So 4 mana is all you need to put into this, and then just proliferate the hell out of it. And then you are doing
You still need a way to ping them. You just need a way to ping them for 1, don't you? Like, the damage doesn't apply to people unless you do some damage.
You need to be able to do the damage, but it does it to an opponent or a permanent that they control. So if you have a 1/1 on the board and they block with their 10/10, you're doing 11 damage to it if you've got 11 fire counters on this thing.
Oh, I see. Right. I think my point when we talked about it still stands, you know. I think it's a very cool card and a nice design, but Kilo solves problem 1, which is that you need to put a lot of mana into it to make it do anything, because you don't have to. You can put 1 mana, say cost 4, and then you proliferate that. Suddenly every attack does X plus.
However many fire counters.
God knows how many times you proliferate the counter. Yeah. If you had... Okay, you could do this. What I would want to do with that is have a way of put some pingers in. So pingers are cards that say tap to do 1 damage, or whenever a creature enters the battlefield, do 1 damage. So like Impact Trammers is a famous one of these. I'd want to have something like that in the deck as well, and some kind of way to trigger it on tapping or untapping. I don't know what that card is. I don't know if it exists. But the ability to... Oh, pingers tap. So you can untap the pingers. Because
you've got that one... You've got that one that you said earlier, the one that has the blue and red hybrid mana. You tap it, you deal 3 damage to any target.
Yes, the Cracklebear. Yes, you could use it. The Cracklebear would be great for that, and you can use Cracklebear to suddenly do 13 damage to everything. Oh, that's brutal. Yeah. I would love it what I would love is if you had like a pinger, just a card that like taps to do 1 damage to something. Like generally pretty useless unless you're really, really very clever about how you use it. I have a deck full of pingers for a thing that adds stuff to pings. The ability to just go, I tap this for 1 now and it does 10 damage to you, and then I untap it and it does 10 damage to you, and I untap it and it does 10 damage to you, and suddenly players going, hang on, wait, what just happened? I did 40 damage to you with this card that pings for 1.
Isn't
like,
there
that's the fun.
Isn't there a 1-cost red card that deals 1 damage to all creatures and each opponent? It's
yeah, there are. It's like Barrage of, there's loads. Like Barrage of Boulders, End of the Festival. There's tons. Because my Gis and Starn deck, which I don't play against Josh because it's mean.
Not in the 2-player game anyway, yeah.
I think I played it once and you went, no, no, I'm not doing it. Just has a whole bunch of cards that say do 1 damage, because Gis says whenever you do 1, do 3 instead, which adds up real quick. And this is saying instead of 1, do 10, do 15. Because you're right. If you're proliferating the counter on this 6 times a turn, by the 2nd, 3rd turn you've done this, you're threatening lethal with 1/1 ping to someone. Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah,
it feels like too many hoops. If Kilo did 1 damage somehow, I'd be down. But it's such an expensive thing that needs to have some kind of trigger on the board to make it actually activate. You know, it's not solved with 2 cards. It needs a 3rd card to make it work.
Well, it also works on attacks. So you're attacking. If Kilo is the one that you're attacking with, it's like this thing's got 10 counters on it, but I'm now attacking with Kilo, who I've just tapped, so it's now got 11 counters on it. So you're now taking 14 damage.
How does it work? Kilo's now not a 14/14? That's not how it works. But if Kilo does 3 damage, it does 14 instead.
It deals that much damage plus an amount of damage equal. So it is commander damage, because it's plus an amount of damage equal to the number of fire counters on this enchantment instead.
Oh, that is brutal, yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's not permanently added or anything like that. It's just
it's just on that burst.
It's not a replacement effect, it's an additional effect.
It's addition, yeah.
On it. Interesting. I'm not sure. I sort of vibe with it and I sort of think,
It's definitely for more of a aggro deck. Definitely.
Yeah.
Imagine pairing that with the Anim Packle card that I said at the beginning that has you spent the entire game building up all of these 1/1 gnomes that you're not attacking with, and then you block with them. Because this helps you defend as well.
Yeah. We've not said it, but there are like, you don't have to play this in the way I play it, which is how do I tap and untap this thing loads of times to do silly stuff. You can put in cards like Kaith, Famed Mechanist, Jolly Balloon Man. It's all red-white or white-blue or red-blue, whatever. These are all just creatures that basically say how to make a metric fuck ton of tokens. And if you're making a metric fuck ton of tokens and you're proliferating counters onto all of them if you have weight, because there's plenty of cards that say 1/1 counter on 6 target creatures or whatever. They're mostly in green, but there are some in red, white, and blue. They exist. There's no reason you couldn't make a super wide, super tall board that then this card goes, oh, now they're all actually, sorry, they're not doing 5 each, they're doing 25 each. Like, that's a crazy board state. It's achievable. It's very, very achievable. If you wanted to go way more combat orientated, you could. And it wouldn't be 100%. Difficult to build a crazy deck in that way. Like, one of the cards I was going to talk about and didn't talk about because it's on EDH Rec and it's almost obvious. Jeskai, red, white, and blue is the school from Tarkir. And Jeskai Ascendancy, there's one for each of the schools in Tarkir, is perfect for this. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, creatures you control get +1/+1 till end of turn, untap those creatures.
Yeah.
So, in other words, if you play Kilo and tap Kilo and then play any other non-creature spell, any other. So, in other words, the moment you play an artifact that can untap things, you can do it again, then untap Kilo, and then play another card, do it again. And also, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may draw a card. If you do discard a card, you can also fill your hand with non-creature spells and have an absolutely insane turn where you tap and untap Kilo 20 times, 30 times, 40 times. This is particularly good when you also have a very wide board stakes. Everything just gets +1/+1/+1/+1/+1 and keeps going and going and going. And they all get untapped as well. So you can, if you save 1 for post-combat, you then also have a board full of defenders to go on the end as well.
Yeah, and there's obviously all the extra combat spells and things that you could put in there as well.
Yeah.
Requisitions Raid would be a fantastic card in there. It's one of those spree cards that costs a white, and then you pay 1 to destroy target artifact, 1 to pay to destroy target creature enchantment, and then you can pay, I think it's 1 and a white plus the original cost, and you can put a +1/+1 counter on all creatures you control, or all creatures target player controls.
Yeah.
So you just do it to yourself with all of these tokens on the board.
And then start tapping and untapping Kilo.
Yeah. One final note before Chris does the outro. And it's a funny little note. Kilo's picture is going to pop up here. Please tell me that you also see that Kilo is the robot from Wall-E, the ship.
Oh, see, I think Kilo looks like the robot from Portal.
Mixture of the two.
Yeah. It's very definitely. I mean, I am in no way suggesting that the art is AI. I don't think it is. But if you said to an AI image generator, make me a robot that has problems with too much power and is a combination of all of these characters, it would make this. It would make something very close to this. Kilo looks like kind of, I'm cute and fine, everything's fine, everything's normal, oh god. Like, it looks like every single horror robot trope for this build of like, I'm just a cute little guy. Now everyone's fucked.
I just wanted to get that in there right at the end.
You are correct. I 100% agree. And I think that's why I like it being this deck. I don't love the thought of it being like, I've got a case deck where I put a lot of Jeskai cards that make wide board state, humongous thing. I really hated the thought of Kilo being at the head of that, because Kilo's got to be like a cute little weirdo. It's like, what are you doing? I'm just over here. Look at this. I've made a gigantic skyscraper. What's the point of that? I made it.
I made it myself. It's pretty.
It needs for me to be a deck that just goes like, I have done something exciting. Does it help you win the game? Helps you lose the game? Like, it's not really tied into like lots of attack damage, or it's just tied into something utterly stupid. To me, it had to feel a little bit stupid because I had to put some of the infinite cards in it.
Yeah.
I wanted, with infinites, I wanted to be, if it's an infinite, for me, it has to be an infinite where it's like, this is a bit dumb. Like, I've done this. It's very funny. Here's my 1,000 flyer. Please.
It's like a game that we had. I think we've mentioned this game in one of the shows before, where I had Una on the board, I had Seymour on the board, and I was basically making one a 200 and another one 200 because I got an infinite loop going on with it, and it was like, I've done this, now deal with it.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, I really enjoyed myself that game. It's just me going, I stopped that problem. No. It had very much that feeling of like this wall just falling towards you, going, no way of stopping it fast enough. It was quite the game. Anyway, that's all from us today about Kilo and untappers and tappers and that sort of thing. And use these cards to upgrade your precon and make your friends say, what the fucking hell does that card do? You're welcome.
And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Off. Get the cameras off. Cut the feed. We're done. Bye.
Bye.